You guys must have had an incredibly busy 24 hours, so we really appreciate it. Look, the question that everybody's asking is what happened? How many details can you give us right now about what is going on with this trial and why it's been halted?
Yeah, Guy, thanks for speaking with me today. Certainly is my pleasure. With respect to details around the pause, the temporary pause on our vaccine candidate trial, there's very little in terms of details known at this point in time. We were informed about 36 hours ago. That information was then elicited from the or by the Independent Drug Safety Monitoring Board. That data is blinded to us at this point in time. It's really up to that independent group to determine what will be unblinded. We've had significant confidence going into the vaccine trial itself. As you may recall, we've tested 100,000 people on this particular platform for Ebola, Zika, RSV, and HIV without any serious health consequences and very well tolerated. So we're confident. We just have to let the process play out. And hopefully the public's reassured that we're following the highest scientific, medical, and ethical standards that we do for all our drugs. And that's certainly true for Johnson & Johnson, and I very much believe it's true for all our pharmaceutical counterparts.
Yeah, and we saw that with AstraZeneca, too. One of their studies had to be halted while they assessed some patient issues. But it hasn't yet still been approved by the FDA to continue, but it can continue in other countries. And I just wonder if you could help us understand the procedure globally as you're testing the vaccine in many countries as to what stops, what moves forward, how quickly that can happen.
Yeah, so Alex, I won't speak specifically on AstraZeneca's compound. What I can say from our perspective, though, the details are still being finalized to find out about the patient. It's a 60,000-person study, which is the largest of any vaccine trial being currently conducted. It's probably not uncommon to expect unexpected illnesses that occur, and that's what's happened here. So we're going to let the board do their study, do their diligence, and then we'll proceed accordingly. We've been in contact with the FDA as well as other health regulatory authorities around the world, so they're well advised as to what we know at this point, and we'll certainly work in lockstep with their direction as well.
Joseph, can we talk about the timeline a little bit?
Sure.
Alex Gorsky, your CEO,
Yes.
has said in the past, and I'm quoting here, that he would expect the vaccine to be available late this year or early next year. Is that timeline still the one you're working to, or do you think the risk is it gets pushed out further than that?
Yeah, so, Guy, I think the best way to answer that as the CFO is to say we're not changing any investment plans to expand our manufacturing footprint, so we're planning for success with that same timeline in mind.
That's a fair point to make as the CFO. On the same lines, though, I wonder if you could give some insight into Johnson & Johnson's conversations with regulators, for example. A lot of the conversation and confusion in the market comes from the fact that we don't know if we trust a vaccine and who's going to vet it and how do you know if it's safe to take, et cetera. What's your conversation?
So our conversation has really been to keep them advised of our scientific protocols. We're being transparent not only with the regulatory authorities, but also the public at large. We have a very detailed website which outlines our design protocol, our study results, our enrollment as that gets posted. So we're being very transparent. The public, I would hope, would look at today's temporary pause and, again, be reassured that we here at Johnson & Johnson, and I believe across the industry, are following every proper safety protocol guideline to its utmost degree.
You've used the word pause and temporary a number of times.
Yes.
Can you just give me a sense of the timing around this? What is normal in terms of the pause that we should be expecting here? We are monitoring this, as you say, and everybody's monitoring this process so incredibly carefully at the moment.
That's right. Yeah. So
what does pause mean?
Yeah. Right now, the pause is it is not a hold, as you might see from a regulatory body such as the FDA. A pause is to investigate this one singular individual with this one singular event, and what the cause of this particular event was. We don't even know at this point whether it was the placebo arm or the vaccinated arm in which this individual participated. So there just needs to be a little bit more diligence, given we're only 36 hours away from when this site first reported the event.
And we appreciate you coming on and still talking to us about it, considering that you're gathering on your own information, because it really helps, I think, investors understand where the market should and could be. There is also, can you talk me through how development happens? So you have this one vaccine, it's in trials, et cetera. Once you get it approved, then what? Like, do you go back to the board and develop a better vaccine? There was a great article in the Times over the weekend that said that the rush to get a vaccine now might actually hurt future vaccine candidates down the road that could actually wind up being better.
Yeah, Alex, I think we're a little bit distinguished in that regard, in that this platform, the adenovector virus, is not new for us. As I mentioned, we've had 100,000 patients studied in different trials for different disease states, and we're very, very comfortable with the platform itself. Right now, we're in the process, and it was supported by phase 1 and 2A results as well. What we're really focused now is on the efficacy as it relates to the coronavirus and making sure that it is efficacious and makes a difference to fight the pandemic. I don't think it's going to limit future vaccine development. I believe it'll provide actually a platform by which we can do this a little bit more efficiently across the industry. With our own study, we know that one of the advantages we believe Johnson & Johnson could have is a one-dose regimen. But we're also going to study a two-dose regimen later on, probably starting later this year, just to see if there's extended durability with respect to that. So I don't see the events of the last 7 months hindering vaccine development or drug development at large. In fact, I can point to many instances where the collaboration, the sharing of information will actually accelerate some novel solutions going forward across healthcare.
Do you think, Joseph, that we could find ourselves in a situation where other regulators around the world approve your drug, other drugs, before they are approved in the United States? This is a race, a regional race to get vaccines to market and get those vaccines into people's arms. Do you think the US could end up lagging as a result of the regulatory requirements that are being imposed?
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't handicap a particular region or country as to who may approve it first. What we want to do is make sure that the science dictates our actions, our submission for approval, and we'll proceed accordingly. I don't think, I know that none of the countries nor none of the companies are going to not follow the high standards that are in place for all drugs.
We're going to leave it there. Joseph, thank you very much indeed for your time today. I appreciate that we spent all our time talking about this and not on focusing on your numbers. It certainly seems that Americans are stocking up on Tylenol and everything else right now, and we've seen that reflected in your figures. Thank you very much.